message.
Chapter 15, The Believer, The Mandalorian Season 2 drops on Disney Plus this week. Star Wars fans rejoice. Not like we didn't have enough reason to celebrate the Star Wars story, right? In the last 24 hours, did something happen? I wasn't sure. I've been on social media the whole last day. I don't know what's happened. It's a wild time to be a Star Wars fan. David here with you on another installment of Streaming Star Wars, joined with Mr. Josh Mose. Josh, how we doing, man?
Hi, David. I'm tired. Like happy tired.
It was a long day yesterday. Of course, if you were with us, thank you so much for joining us for our live coverage of the Disney investor call. We absolutely had a blast. And we were up late just sifting through all of the news, trying to see what details were out there. And yeah, we're back at it early this morning. I stayed up to 1:45. I was going to try and watch the show right when it dropped. And at 15 till, I passed out. The next thing I know, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm texting Josh, which is weird. I thought my wife would be the first person I would text in the morning, but I'm like, Josh, I fell asleep. What's going on? And so what's going on is the fact that we got The Believer, which is I love this season because even though I had some gripes with that second chapter of this season, you know, because I'm not like, I like building relationships, but I like action more. But every episode has brought it, and this I feel this chapter is a great golf ball on team moment. The finale is now set to serve, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of process in this, but Josh, when you get an episode again with Boba with a new paint job, I mean, dude, that has to excite you, right?
I mean, with this shot, when he walks down, I just paused and just looked at it. For one, I mean, the chess piece alone, having it just that solid green with the the digital readout on there. I don't know. Have I ever noticed that? That was my thing. You know, like I'm seeing new stuff. Of course, we've got his logo, his what would we call that? His crest, the Mando crest there, which is just awesome. So I was super excited to see this scene because it's a progression of Boba. And of course, I had to make sure you can kind of see it in the shot that he still had the little dent in his helmet. I mean, we got to have the round dent, which is still there. So,
Steve Hyman, part of our extended family here at Beyond the Blast Doors, he pointed out that the dent doesn't look so severe with the new paint job.
Yeah.
So that wear and tear goes away, and the armor overall looks pretty solid. Still would love to know what dinged that Beskar armor that he wears.
Right.
And I like what you said about the readout. Yeah, I just kind of like how the suit itself, the armor itself, becomes a little bit more articulated as time goes on. You know, the Mandalorian armor looked a little bit cooler when you saw Jango in 2002's Attack of the Clones compared to the beat up armor that you saw in the original trilogy. And here's another example. And I think that's also a detail that they kind of brought out more in the animated series as well. So I thought that was super cool.
So, but we need to ask this question of the chat. Where's Boba getting this Beskar paint? Like this paint that can adhere to Beskar. I mean, this is some special stuff. So
yeah.
This is yours. I'm taking your thought, but that's kind of
does
funny.
Boba just turn to Mandalorian and just go like, hey, like we need to stop at Aces before we go on and get this Mayfield guy? No, you go in the aisle. I need a green. What kind of green is that? It's not a pea green. It's
make sure to wear your mask. You know, COVID.
Yeah.
So yeah, COVID mask joke.
I just it all applies. Now, I think between the paint job's not obviously the biggest story. I think really the big story is the fact that Bill Burr, who's a globally known comedian who does not like Star Wars, is in Star Wars again.
How does he not like Star Wars? But I mean,
he crushes it.
It is. Bill Burr stole the show. And it's almost like we're diving in a little too quick to Bill. I want to get to Bill, but how can we not? I mean, we see him. He starts right off. He's on the prison planet, which is great. We've got this interaction, which I love to see with like this Republic droid, which is carrying around a baton. So, I mean, they're drawing these comparisons throughout the whole show, and we'll just get ahead of ourselves now. I mean, Bill Burr has this entire monologue that talks about you believe one thing because you're from this place, and I believe one thing because, or you know, Alderaan believes one thing, and Mandalorians believe another. What's the difference? What's the difference when somebody comes in and just takes over? You know, how do you think they feel? So it was a great comparison because now, you know, even in the very beginning, we're looking at this, you know, Republic droid that looks every bit the same as an Imperial droid would look on an Imperial prison planet. You know, so I think there's a lot to be said, and there's more to talk about here with Bill Burr's kind of, and I don't know if we're getting a message. I honestly believe it's a Bill Burr message. I mean, if you've ever watched his act, this was he just got to be himself, and I was thrilled by it. And there's a few moments that we'll talk about too that just totally hit home with him. So exciting stuff. Where do you want to go next, David? I mean, we can keep talking Bill, or we can kind of go through the progression here. I thought there were some great moments with Din becoming. Well, let's just jump to it. This.
I want to go a different place though.
Okay,
he took his helmet off.
Well, I'll get there, but this was this moment where he comes walking out of the shadows in this trooper armor, carrying his Beskar on his back. That was like, okay, so now we're seeing Din's conviction again. Like he's even gonna. And Bill Burr points it out. He's like, so what does it mean? It means the Mandalorian can't show his face, or the Mandalorian can't take off his helmet, and Din is obviously kind of going through this turmoil, which eventually, we get to see his face. But before we got there, we got to see Din fight without his Beskar. And we even see him take a blow that he tries to shiv with his trooper armor and like go, because it didn't work, right? It shattered like all trooper armor does. Mm-hmm. So and then he still kicks butt. So that's what I liked, is that the Beskar doesn't make the Mandalorian, which is pretty cool. That makes any sense to you.
But it's like, man, he really does feel it though after that fight, because that armor isn't like his Beskar. So he takes those hits kind of square on. So I thought that was kind of interesting to see.
Did you see him gingerly getting into the chair too?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, and then even when he climbs out of the juggernaut, he just kind of he's getting down slow. So I thought that was a great take.
We are in a situation where, you have one more episode to go. This is going to be a setup. So we have to go get Bill Burr. We got to get Mayfield. Mayfield's like, I need access to information that I can only get at a terminal or a Imperial data computer, whatever. And there's one on this other planet. We have to go to this other planet. We got to pick that information up. And then we're going to be able to track down Moff Gideon in his light freighter. And so this was kind of fun because it was that heisty vibe I really enjoyed. I don't think we need to go play by play. I do. Sure. I will say this. The relationship that we see between Cara Dune and what we see with Mayfield. I think, Josh, you've made this point before. It would be interesting somehow if that was a little nudge or a little nod to maybe some fun we could have with Rangers of the New Republic.
Yeah, we don't know what Rangers is going to be. I mean, she's a marshal, so I'm trying to figure out if they are going to tie her, and maybe we're just on the wrong path. I don't know, but it's the closest thing we can come to right now as we have rumors of a Cara Dune spinoff. So I made the comment, I'd like to see Bill Burr in a steady role. If he joins some sort of group, Rangers, that are maybe going around and without force or super awesome armor, they're just people trying to weed out remnants, fine, or settle problems on planets. I mean, I kind of think that's what Mandalorians are doing right now, but I'd love to see Bill Burr. I just think that he fits in this role so well, and whoever let him just do his thing is a genius. He seems the most natural actor. Last week I was praising Boba or Tamora for being such a great actor. This week it's Bill. He was fantastic, and it's just him. And he had to have a moment, and this is what I call this the Bill Burn right here. He had to have this moment where you can see him lose it, and that's Bill Burr. I mean, at least that's his act, and I think it's pretty probably similar to who he is as a person. I think he's an honest dude when it comes to his act.
I don't know about anybody else, but when he gets out of that vehicle and he doesn't have his helmet on, I was freaking out because I'm like, this is where the plan goes wrong right off the bat. Because why is he not wearing his helmet?
Right.
They're gonna be like, Trooper, why aren't you wearing your helmet? That's what I was thinking. And kind of how they just glided through this Imperial base and how they make this plan. I'm amazed. Also, the fact that Mayfield recognizes his former superior and he does not recognize Mayfield. And so Mayfield identifies this, and he has fun with him, and he gives him a mouthful, and then he blasts him. And then it's like him and Din just boom, 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 boom. They light up the room. Yep. I thought for sure you were going to have a thing where Din was going to look out of the mess hall, and there were just going to be like 30 troopers right there, like, what?
Right.
I thought it was going to be this huge gunfight. They were able to get out of there. I thought the whole thing, I thought the action was great. Rick Famuyiwa's episode in season 1 wasn't my favorite. I think it was chapter 2. I just thought there were like some depth issues with the Mandalorian going up and down the Sandcrawler. But this episode rocked. And here's the thing. We talk about this often, right? Star Wars, can it exist without like Jedi, lightsabers, and, what the Force, whatever? Well, it looks like the Mandalorian can have a really good episode without Grogu. Point that out in the live chat. Steve said it. Here's an episode where you didn't see the child at all. And so I'm kind of curious, okay, is Grogu just in shackles on this light freighter while this is all happening? Are they testing on him already? I'm very curious about it. I'm trying to limit my excitement imagination where every left turn is going to go, well, is that connected to something we learned about the other day on the Disney investor call? Is that something teasing it? And I guess my mind does keep going back to Rangers of the New Republic, just because 2 episodes we were like, Marshall Care got her little medallion, and it's like, well, is she, Dave Filoni, and someone else going to be flying around the galaxy? Like, let's freaking go. Let's go find out. But here we are talking about the Mandalorian. This is the show that we're supposed to be talking about.
I think, but we are, because I think we could have thought last episode that with Cara Dune with her feet up on the desk, kind of, we could have thought that maybe she wouldn't have joined. I didn't know that she was going to hop on Slave One and go with him. Right. We just thought maybe she was looking up the information and finding out, where Mayfield's, where he was stationed. But, so it could have been left right there, and then you could have thought, okay, they are spinning Cara away because he didn't really involve. But then here she is, so it probably would have been a better case for her, having her own show if she hadn't been in this episode. But who knows? We don't know anything, which it's just fun to speculate. But yeah,
in the live chat says, "Give me Paul, Gina, and Bill for Rangers of the New Republic." I think that any Star Wars fan would gladly take that.
I think he's right.
Matthew,
and Filoni, right? He's got to show up too, because
at least a cameo. But now he's busy, right? Because he's going to be doing the Ahsoka series. Matthew, she's still pissed at Moff Gideon. I think you're right. I like this point by Lords of Longbucks, TiVo, a buddy of mine from the comic book community on YouTube. Great point here. The armor is dingy and dirty. And again, here is this Imperial base, this facility, this mining facility, and it's another splinter of the Empire. And I think it's really interesting that lived-in aesthetic that I love so much about Rogue One, and I think that aesthetic has been applied to this series really well. I'm hoping it's applied really well to the Andor series we learned about. But I love that lived-in feel, and I think that's why Boba's armor caught me off guard so much. Because how often in Star Wars do you see something that looks new?
You're going to probably get some pushback on Boba's armor. I think people are going to be like, oh, come on, he painted over it. But I love it. I love it because you already pointed it out. There's these different degrees of the armor's condition. And now we got Boba, who's just onto a new phase. He's turning a new page, Mr. Fett. He's helping people out, all kinds of stuff. But
I just had a thought.
Okay. I know it hurts. Go.
I just had this thought. I know when my brain functions, it hurts. You just sparked my memory. Did you know that the inside of the Slave One rotates?
That was so cool. Yeah, I forgot about that. It's just like they're in their stationary. And so Boba's laying down or doing whatever he's doing, flying, and he's got a gyro in there to keep him steady. That was a great take.
That is incredible. Like you've never seen the inside of that ship, and so now we have this opportunity to do so. And that, to me, I've always wondered, like, if he lands that way, how does that work? And I thought that was so cool.
Even the toy allowed him to flip in there. I mean, they even had that down. It did. So the vintage toy, he spins on an axis in there. They did a good job with those old Kenner toys, right? And I think they maintain it in the new one. I know they do. But we didn't know that the cargo hold. See, that's one thing you never considered, right? Just think about it. Han Solo and Carbonite could have just been flopping around back there. But instead, you've got a nice gyro cargo hold that keeps it on the level, especially in atmosphere, right? So that's a great point.
And as you can see, I have the Slave One set behind me, the 20th anniversary Lego Star Wars set. And I'm wondering if the gyro, I don't know if the gyro is in there. No, I'm not flexing it. If I had the UCS collector series version, I'd be flexing a little bit. But no, I just thought that was so cool. And again, the show allows us to relearn what we already knew about the series. I knew the Slave One was a badass ship, but I didn't know it was passed along between Jango and Boba. I didn't know that it could look so beautiful on screen on a foresty planet. I didn't know that there was a gyro mechanism inside. So a great opportunity again to expand and have fun. And I really do agree with what Robert Rodriguez said about last week's episode, right? It's, he had the dream. He had all the action figures that he would want to play with in the season in his episode. And like, that's kind of like what we get to watch, man. It's like, let's have fun with these action figures. And I think that story and that aesthetic is really fun. Again, you made this point. I think Bill Burr really, to me, is a standout because I didn't imagine that character having such a role in an episode. I understand it's 8 episodes in the season, okay? But to give him 1/8 is a lot of time for that character who I kind of just scoffed as a one and done last season. So the fact that we've had Mayfield come back like that really excites me and leads me to think that there's potential for more characters like that it's a substantial supporting role,
This wasn't even a cameo. Okay. This was, I mean, even though it wasn't necessarily a cameo in the prison break, this was Bill Burr is helping move Din's theology, right? Like his logic, his credo, because that conversation they have in the driver's seat and the passenger seat with him just going, what are you doing? What is this? And kind of really just jabbing him, being like, okay, so you put a stormtrooper helmet on. I know I already made this point, but I mean, that is moving Din's process. He's thinking. And then what happens? Ultimately, Bill Burr had to have that conversation. And who would have thought it would have been anyone? It could have been anyone, but it was Bill Burr, right? His character. But he then had to come to the realization that he would do anything for the child, which does now. And we already made this point, I think, in the last show. He'd do anything for the child, which now involved kind of throwing his religion, or at least going against his religion, which
that's right.
I hate to use the word religion, maybe credo, I guess.
Well, that's what it is. Jesse in the live chat, for shame, David, they cover Boba getting the slave one in the Clone Wars cartoon. I remember that the moment you told me that I'm an idiot.
For shame. For shame.
This we can go ahead and transition to Easter eggs. There's more things that we want to talk about on this show, I'm sure. At some point, I mean, we had to talk about the Mandalorian's little bit at the very end of this episode where he confronts Gideon. It was it was a badass moment.
It is, and I want to get there, but or do you want to leave the elephant in the room until we just talked about it? But I mean, let's go there. Let's go to your spot.
I want to talk about seismic chargers because that's the greatest.
I know you do. See, we can't even lock in.
We've now made this episode R because I just said the F-bomb. That's how much I love.
All right, here's your point. Here's your point. So this Easter egg is amazing. Take it.
All right, fine. So the fact that Mando recites Moff Gideon's words back to him is a level of badassery that is just what makes this show great. And don't we want to make Star Wars great? Star Wars is already great. Star Wars has been great for a long time. But this, like, I literally sat up in my seat when I saw the hologram of Mandalorian appear on screen and confront Gideon. And Gideon is like, wait, what? He was cut off guard. Yeah. He didn't expect this. Josh, is that how you perceived it?
That's how I took it. So this is so Din's been a babysitter for a while, right? Yep. He's been the caregiver to Grogu. He's compromised some of the ways he probably had handled situations in the past or would have handled situations because the child was present. He kind of, if he doesn't stash him, then he can go kick some butt. This is Din unleashed. This is the Mandalorian unleashed. His full fury. He just let Moff, like that's such a move. He let Moff Gideon know he knows exactly. I mean, he's transmitting to his cruiser, so he's got access to the transmission, or at least he sent a message in the right place. So he knows. Gideon knows now that Din is on his way, and he's pissed. And I loved seeing it. And that line, he means more to me than you will ever know, which is they gave us in the recap from Gideon. I was just like, oh hell yeah, that is awesome. So I'm excited to see that. It's like any good 80s action movie, right? Like Taken. That's such a Liam Neeson, fellow Star Wars, such a Liam Neeson move, right? I have a particular set of skills, and obviously Din does. So there's a lot of things this episode did right. We've already talked about some of the things we think they mean and what they will mean for in the future of the story. I'm excited to find out how this small crew of bounty hunters takes on this light freighter. I think the Slave One is a powerful ship. I don't know how it's going to
take on that freighter. God, it's a beautiful ship too. And I love this angle too, because you could actually see kind of into the hangar, which I think is sweet. Like, I think it'd be really fun if, you see 3 or 5 TIE fighters fly out of that main bay. This kind of reminds me also, it's, this is a stretch too, but the Eclipse Star Destroyer for the Emperor and the EU, it had the ability to shoot, like, the power of the Death Star was in this ship. And it kind of had the same kind of thing where it kind of, had this like line through that could fire a cannon out of there. And that's what I was looking for.
I appreciate that it looks like a model. I really do. I mean, it's got, and I hope it is.
Yeah.
I hope it is, with so many computer generated options these days. I know they still make models for Star Wars. I think it's almost a pastime or a rite of passage for any Star Wars creator, but this just looks like a model, and it's so, Star Destroyer-esque, and you're right there on the nose of it. Like you said, the angle. As a matter of fact, when I first saw it, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, that looks very like a model. That's pretty cool, even though it looks great. It doesn't look fake. I mean, what is fake when
JLS Comics in the live chat says, "Dang, Ferrick, you're live." Yeah, we've been going live a lot, man.
Yeah, we're always live.
I should use Dang Ferrick instead of using actual swears.
You should. We can keep advertisers, maybe.
Yeah, right. Disney stock went up $20 per share. Yeah, if you didn't have Disney stock before yesterday.
Where's my suit?
Yeah, I was gonna say, because you actually have. I should have gotten stock. I don't know why I don't have Disney stock. I'm gonna start doing that. The live chat's having a great time. So I mentioned the seismic charger. Let's talk some Easter eggs.
Ready?
Because there's one Star Wars Easter egg, and then there's like one non-Star Wars Easter egg that I feel like we had to address.
Yep.
The seismic charger to me is one of the top 3 sound effects in Star Wars. It is the lightsaber. It is the lightsaber. It is the seismic charge, and then dang man,
pod.
Number 3 is the pod racer.
Yeah, is that it? I mean, that's one of them. That's an iconic sound.
I could be fine. I could be fine with that, or like going to hyperspace or something.
Sure,
that'd be cool. But it is this. Listen, I can't tell you. My wife teaches at home. Okay, I got so loud when they did the close up of the back hatch and the seismic charge dropping out. I was like, they're doing it, and I could not. I was so excited. And why do I love this? It's because it's the power of silence. It's the power of silence. Like, I think sometimes we forget how powerful that can be. If, for example, if you watch Scotty J. Rowe's reaction compilation of all the Disney news yesterday, I think his best reactions aren't him screaming at the camera. His best reactions are when he's stripping, jumping up and down like he's running in place. Like, that was awesome. You can watch that right now on Beyond the Blast Doors YouTube channel. But yeah, the silence and then boom. And I remember the Attack of the Clones documentary, and they spent time talking about that specific sound effect, and I love that. Like, that's throwback, that's canon connectivity, that's Attack of the Clones connectivity, which I'm on the record a lot of times saying Attack of the Clones, not my favorite Star Wars movie at all. Like, if I'm ranking them, they're all up here, and then Attack of the Clones is way down there. So I loved this, and it filled me with joy, and I now want to go back and watch Attack of the Clones just because of this, which is what happens every week. Something happens in these episodes that if you love Star Wars or you're getting into Star Wars, you now have this opportunity to be like, oh, well, this is cool. How do I learn about that? Oh, there's a movie about that. Oh, there's an animated series. Oh, there's comics. So like that happened to me. And I love that. Cause like, I know that I'm really intense sometimes about Star Wars when I can still feel like that payoff, man, that is job well done by the people in charge of this project, Josh.
Sure. And again, it's just, the Mandalorian, if you are new to Star Wars, an episode like this and all the things that they've been giving you so far for the past 2, 1 and 3/4 seasons, almost over,
right.
Is all digestible by somebody who isn't super familiar with the Star Wars universe. So that's why I like, this is a great action episode.
I need a cigarette.
You got bad guys and you got good guys and you got conflict. It's awesome. So I know everyone's freaking out a little bit.
Islamic. I was screaming, there he is, Dad. That's awesome. Matthew, Scotty showed his face yesterday.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Mark is in the live chat. He's saying hi to everybody. We got all systems remaining. Love the crowd here. It makes me so happy to see so many familiar faces and some faces from the past. We got people bringing up in the live chat. So let's go here next.
Let's go to it. I don't have an image.
I don't know Office Space. I've never seen the movie.
Oh my gosh. All right. I'm kicking you out. I'm removing you from the stream. I'm just kidding.
No, let's go ahead. Tell me why I need.
I love it when he does that to himself. Come on. TPS reports. That's so Bill Burr. He's like, yeah, let's go fill out some of those TPS reports and recharge the core. So good, because that's like Bill Burr's whole deal. I think he's probably used TPS reports in one of his acts, but he's just making something up. And to pull that from Office Space now, I don't want any spoilers out there, but if you haven't seen Office Space, the main dude, the main character, is just really frustrated with his terrible cubicle job, and he has to fill out TPS reports.
The red stapler, right?
All day long. It's just, and they're pointless reports. Reports for having reports. That doesn't do it justice. Go watch it. It's one of the best movies.
I'm gonna watch it because everyone's ripping me a new in the live chat.
And they have to be.
It really bums me out. People are actually, it's like, look, David has lost all credit.
Yeah.
What? Haven't seen Office Space. I cannot do a show with David again.
I cannot just say one thing. The fax machine scene, I've actually recreated that with buddies for something completely different.
I don't know what that means because I haven't seen it.
You have to go watch it. You have to go watch it
because I want my friends to stay my friends. I'm kind of heartbroken to learn about Beyond the Blast Doors is now a two-person show now. I'm it's a tragedy. I just and maybe this is a point, Josh, that you are getting to, is how Star Wars can kind of reach that broader audience.
Yeah.
There's maybe a family or a group of buddies that's gonna So I have a friend, Jet, and he's not a big Star Wars fan, but he knows that I really like The Mandalorian, and he wanted to give it a try. Okay, we watch every episode together now.
Cool.
And he's a more casual fan, and I think that something like an Office Space reference, or any kind of outside the franchise reference, is a really healthy thing, because now that more casual fan has something that they connect to. Oh, well, I'm not a big, but I know what they're talking about there. Oh my God, that's super cool. And then like you're getting this play on like current pop culture, and then the pop culture that Star Wars itself creates, which I think is really cool. I also really liked. I really like your Bill Burr accent. You're trying to do this Bostonian accent.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Pocket con Harvard Yard.
Yeah,
hey, Boba, I gotta go get some paint for this armor of yours.
There you go. There you go. You got a good Boston.
No, I don't.
You need to be a little more angry. You need a little high pitch. You gotta, kind of cuss sometimes. Then you're Bill Burr.
Hey, you want to know your cat? Here's the thing. I can only do it with an R, like a word that ends with R. It's also not good. Third fact about this is I like to do my like regional dialects in front of people actually from those areas. And so I did this for a Boston friend of mine, and it was not well received. So I really try and keep this lackluster talent of mine under wraps.
There could be Boston in the chat. We don't know.
Everyone's having a freaking good time in this live chat, and it makes me so happy to see. Now it's just a Office Space conversation down there, and that's totally fine. That's totally fine. I love that Stubby is here. All remaining system says, I love that the Empire is so weak. Gideon has a light cruiser instead of a Star Destroyer. It doesn't diminish his threat either. I kind of always wondered if Moff Gideon had more, because remember how Mayfield reacts when he's told, okay, you've been lifted from this prison planet because you're going to help us track down Gideon. He doesn't want any part of it. I wonder if Gideon had more, and this is all he could hold on to after the destruction of the Death Star 2. Like that seems like a real possibility. Maybe I'm digging too deep into that.
Well, I think the bigger point here, and we got that from the officer who I guess is from Game of Thrones. He was a Night King. We got that from this guy who's Fallon Hess. He was a jerk with great teeth. An imperial officer with teeth like that. Oh, it was awesome. But I think what we're seeing is, he says, "Long live the Empire." We're seeing these remnant forces of the Empire stuck on planets, still doing their job, and they cover that in the Aftermath series. Some people, they just don't know. It was like World War II when they were still fighting in the South Pacific because they hadn't got the message that there was a surrender. I mean, it's still kind of the same thing. These Imperial pockets are still strong. So to your point with Moff Gideon, could be the same thing. He's still terrifying. He's still strong. He's trying to get stronger. We don't know what resources he has available to him. Maybe the light cruiser is just a good way to get around. And then it flies back to the super cruiser or wherever,
I'm good with
I don't know.
I like how this guy, this is, all remaining. Well, this is Shannon. What did Shannon say? I was so pumped when they talked about Operation Cinder. That is a great Easter egg. That's going back to Battlefront 2, that whole story you get with that campaign of that game where you're learning about this, basically a plan B for the Emperor. So if the Emperor were to die, here's this plan to go into action. And I wonder if Operation Cinder is more so directly tied with the First Order and the Final Order. In a way, is Operation Cinder a distraction for a lot of the Remnant so that Palpatine can take this part of the Remnant and go start crafting the first and final order, because he had plans A, B, and C, and D in plan. And to have that spoken out loud, you get shore troopers in this episode. So now you're getting some Rogue One love. And I think that's, I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is, but that's some Rogue One love. And back to back, I thought that was really great.
So here's a good one from, go ahead. Yeah, no, and that one, that's another Easter egg. Just to follow up, and then I want to get to that one. I liked this from Jesse. Plus, we learned that thousands of Imperial troops were also killed. So that was when Bill Burr lost his head, right?
Yeah.
And what Operation Cinder so far has done, even through some of the video games we played and the books, is it made Imperial troopers. It made it all the way down to the trooper level. It made them question their allegiance to the Empire. Cinder was basically, and that's what Bill's saying. He's like, we kind of went bad. We took out an entire city, and he's saying like, yeah, how's that just kind of bad? I lost all my buddies, an entire, regiment. And so that's the overlying kind of idea that's we're having to deal with. So these remnant Empire groups are still operating, yet you have ex-Imperials that are like, it was bad. So, I mean, the Empire is spiraling out of control no matter Palpatine's plan. So the only other option would be to reform it under a new, regime or the new order or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
and I like your point too about
new
like
world order. That's my wrestling. I like that better.
The point about humanizing the Empire. And I think, we get that in some of the games, like you mentioned too, but like specifically the Battlefront books, I think do a really good job of showing, not every Imperial was on board or always agreed with the plan. And, some were forced into it. Some volunteered, some were voluntold. We've all been voluntold to do things at work or by, friends and family. It's you do it, but you don't want to necessarily do it. And you start to develop a level of empathy, which is wild. We got another thing from the live chat.
Yeah, this is great. Lords of the Long Box says the best line is from Bill Burr when they say that the people on the planet who look like war refugees, and Bill says something akin to those people don't see the Empire or the Republic. It's all the same to them. So that's what I was talking about earlier. It's like, right and wrong is from the perspective of the conqueror and the conquered. That's about it.
Yeah. And I want to go into this because I think this is so amazing. This took me back to philosophy class in college when they're talking about the greater good. Right. Bill Burr is questioning the Imperial officer, and the Imperial officer is, well, it's for the greater good. The Empire has lasted. And that's what we say about history all the time. History is written in the eyes of the victor. But this great conversation about the greater good and the common good. And what do we really want? And this is one of those times where you can say, oh yeah, Star Wars is reflective of reality, and it's supposed to be a lesson learned. The greater good serves the minority. The greater good serves the Empire. It allows the Empire to be that entity of power over entity that wants to be controlled, which there's like some Nietzsche stuff in this. This is incredible. But really just like how there is, how humans, how people, how beings just want to be controlled. They actually don't want freedom. There's, obviously other movies and other stories that have taken on that concept, but greater good versus the common good. We should be striving for the common good, elevate everybody around. And initially,
but isn't that still dictated by perspective? That's the perspective of whoever's in what position they're in. And this is what I like, because I think that the Mandalorian is giving us some different perspectives. This scene right here, it's not the best scene because it was quick, but as they pull in, we're getting the cheering reception. Now, remember, we've seen plenty of rebellion receptions, right? Lots of after they land the X-wing, you did it, woo! Well, right now, we're seeing the same thing there. So, if you want to use your philosophical point, there's people in that armor, and those people are excited for the victory for the side they think is right. So that's just so much fun, because I love being able to, and you're saying it too, to experience kind of like, let's look at it from their eyes. Now they flip it quite quickly with the officers kind of, sloughing off a nuke in a city. But after that, so I really enjoy that, because again, what does that come down to? That comes down to, if you wanted to bring it back to the character, it comes down to Din. Din has to make decisions that don't necessarily fall into the right or wrong category. They just fall into, will I get my kid back? And that's such a dad moment again. I'll do anything to get my kid back, and that's what he's doing. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I think that is it a creed or is it a religion? But like, man, as someone that was brought up in a religious family, and then I you know, I'm cool with God and all that stuff. Not everybody is, and that's fine too. But I think that when you're a cradle believer in anything, like you got to be challenged at some point in your life about, well, why do you really want to stick to this? And so we're witnessing that with Din, and there is struggle, but that's how committed he is to this, to Grogu, and making sure that Grogu lives and Grogu is cared for and he is trained. And if he has a higher purpose, I think that's what's so cool is Din's recognition of his role in the galaxy was probably a lot smaller than he thought 15 episodes ago.
Right.
You know, like he is on this mission now, and it's no longer about him. He's committed himself to Grogu. And so like there are some themes there that are really powerful. And the fact that we're getting that translated through dudes in helmets and you know, stormtroopers and blow ups and you know what I mean? Like Star Wars is just the aesthetic of some really cool, deep conversations, which I think is, these are the things that I'll be talking about 10 years from now with you probably. Right. Be like, oh man, but man, greater versus the common good with the Empire. Like, damn, man.
No nursing home. Thank you. But I think
I won't be there. I mean, I'll be like,
no, I'm talking about me. I'm talking
possibly.
Depends on if how this
just gotta keep doing our morning stretches. Make sure that you get your morning trips to Ace Hardware. You know, make sure that you get your paying for your Beskar armor. Okay. What
I just want to go back to what you just said. I like that they didn't just we had Bo-Katan question Din's religion. I like that it didn't just happen one episode. And Din was like, yeah, you know, you're right. I'll take my helmet off, which could have gone that way just to kind of move past this point. But instead, they really are using it as a plot piece. It is his conflict, you know, it is important to him. This isn't, so that makes it important to me, right? As a viewer, it's important to me. And so almost when he does, in fact, take his helmet off, I was like, ooh, like I was a little like uncomfortable with it.
He's so uncomfortable too.
You can tell with him. Yeah. And I like that. I think that any good you know, show or movie makes you uncomfortable at some point, or even question like, would you do that if it was that important to you? What would you give up in order to, you know, in this case, save your kid? You know, what would you do? And we're seeing Din go through that, and I think we've kind of hit that point. But I just love this scene because he doesn't. I don't know that he's uncomfortable that he's in enemy territory as much so as he is because his helmet's off.
Well, also he's so uncomfortable, and for the first time you see him truly not in control of the moment, and he's relying on Mayfield. And so if Mayfield doesn't swoop in there at the very last second, give him a name and start doing the talking, I mean, this all goes down a lot differently. So on the flip coin of this too, Din has to put his trust in a character that he does not believe is trustworthy. At the end of the episode, there's like redemption here. Yeah. Mayfield has closure, which is why I really do think it would make sense if we saw that character again, because he has now come full circle. An Imperial sharpshooter blows up the facility, gets to knock off the officer that pissed him off and killed all of his buddies. And now he just walks away. This recurring theme where like we find a character, we have a fun time for a half hour, and then they walk away. So
we maroon him on a planet.
Here's my question. What's the first thing that Mayfield does after the slave one flies away?
I think he's heading to that village. He's going to make some friends. I mean, I almost thought just for a second, really briefly, we could have like a Cobb Vanth type of situation. Maybe Mayfield goes back and he does get with the locals and he helps them out. Now, speaking of locals, we had two different groups of locals here, right? We had the refugees we kind of saw as they were driving through the village, and then we had the guys on the skiffs that I don't know anyone know what race that was? I didn't know what race that was.
Those pirates, though, it was funny, right? You get the first one, okay. Then there's two more. Then there's like four. And to your point that you brought up earlier, yeah, I love how the armor doesn't hold up and also how he kicks ass. That sequence was just a lot of fun, and it got me excited again because I think I did have some trepidations about this episode, knowing that it was from Rick, and I think he's incredible at what he does. His last episode didn't do it for me. This whole sequence was exceptional. It kind of reminded me of Solo, a Star Wars story, where you have them fighting on that monorail train. And the same kind of concept. You have these pirates roll up. They're trying to hijack this thing, blow it up. Okay, also a concept we got from Rogue One, right? We're trying to blow up the transport so we can get the Kyber. And this whole sequence just worked really well on a lot of levels. I guess those pirates coming from the village. I don't know. I don't know where they come from. but they advance the plot, and that's what's important, right? They're there to advance the plot, and I really enjoyed it. And I like the use of thermal detonators. Anytime you get a thermal detonator, and I thought they just they take a long time to go off.
They do. That's why I keep this one just on lock, in case. There you go.
That is. Wait, let me see that again. Give me that again. Where'd you get this at? If you're not watching, turn your screen right now because we got a thermal detonator on screen. Did you make that yourself?
I did not.
Wow, that looks really good.
Yeah.
So can you press the buttons?
A prop? No. This is a prop piece that came with Boosh back here. My little lady.
Wow. So we have a thermal detonator on.
We do. So don't mess with me, all right? Don't mess with me.
Yeah, he will. He'll drop that. I'll take you out. I do want to shout out. I thought this was something that I do want to address. Someone asked, "Hey, are we doing the call-in show tonight?" And so, yeah, just so you know, it's already up. We're trying to do a better job of scheduling our streams out so you know sooner when we're going live next. But yeah, there's gonna be a live show, and Josh, you and Pete are gonna be doing that. It's gonna be a lot of fun, right?
I'm back. I'm just here all day, man. I'm just here all day, here for the people. Pete and I are going to come back, and we're going to talk to some of you guys. So get your questions ready, your comments. We had such a great time last week. I'm always thoroughly. I don't know why I'm impressed. I'm just, or even surprised. But our chat is so smart, and the guests that come on, our callers, are fantastic. Last week I was learning stuff. I took notes. It was great. Basically, we're just a platform for you to get on and be 100 times smarter than we are. So. Enjoy.
I think that's a really good way to describe it. Yeah. So again, Josh and Pete live tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern. That would be 6 p.m. Pacific. And you can check that out. It's going to be a lot of fun. And it's not just about The Mandalorian. Everything's on the table. Everything from that Disney investor call.
Yes.
You guys should be busy. These call-in shows have been 2 hours.
Yeah,
it might be going longer tonight.
I mean, I know we covered the call yesterday, but it's time to hear from the people.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We talk a lot.
I'm really excited for it. Something that Steve brought up in the live chat earlier, and I'm going to throw this out, is that first time we've seen a blaster run out of ammo. Scotty is the network's thermal detonator. You're not wrong.
Yeah, we did see a blaster. So was that a malfunction?
No, it ran out of ammo. It ran out of ammo.
No way. There's no way it ran out of
I've never seen that. Also, Steve wants to know if we think Boba got a new blaster rifle. And because what does he have? The EF something? I don't remember.
The stock, I don't remember seeing, but the stock looks accurate, right?
So do you think they got a new paint job? Is there a logo on that stock?
No, it kind of looks like, but I think that's just some inlay,
Oh, okay. I don't know much about guns. I don't know about.
Well, I mean, I don't know much about this gun, but yeah, I think that's OG. I don't know if I don't have a wider shot, but yeah, we could. Good question. Now I want to go back. Running out of ammo? Is that wait to recharge, Battlefront type of thing? You shot too fast, you gotta hit the recharge.
I don't know, but I guess it's useless, right? Because he tomahawks it at the one pirate, which I thought was a great move. It's if you can't fire it, you might as well chuck it. I think that
I just love that whole fight scene. My favorite part was when he sighed. He takes out 3 skiffs full of pirates. They're the refinery's right there. And here through the smoke come 5 more skiffs or however many. And he just goes, and he gets back up and he's back to the fight, which is just fantastic. Such a cool scene.
Jesse gets in here and says his EE3 is fixed. Thank you for letting us know. Jesse, he was on Beyond the Blasters Live with me Wednesday night. Great to have him on. And he is a Mandalorian merc, an official Star Wars cosplayer. The dude just has a great passion for
Paul's
Star Wars.
comment.
You got to follow him. I like Paul's comment too. I think the Remnant blaster malfunctioned due to disrepair, not lack of ammo. It's a theme. Shannon says,
I thought there was going to be a comment of stupid Imperial crap, and throw it or something. But
yeah, and to Paul's point, it is a theme. Shannon says she thinks it just overheated.
That's very Battlefront. I can't disagree with that either.
I think the Trooper blaster jammed to show how old their gear and have deserted that outpost and how deserted that outpost is. Yeah, they're running on fumes. The whole facility is running on fumes. You can tell by how dirty it is. Blue Harvest, Imperial weapons are crap. You know what, though? Here's the one thing that I don't like as the time goes on is just how lame we make the stormtroopers. I totally acknowledge the Imperial approach is strength in numbers, but now it's just their armor is this crappy and their aim is this terrible and their military intelligence is this, their IQ is this low. At some point we kind of got to bring the stormtroopers up at least a peg or two, so that way we're like, okay, something could go wrong here. Because now every time in the series, I'm like, well, Boba's just going to take a gaffy stick through the dirt and then wheelhouse him.
Right.
You know?
I
like
don't
how I did
disagree
with
with
that.
that. I mean, it looked natural. I think, you got to have expendable enemies, right? In an action flick, you got to have guys that fall to the hero or heroine, as often as possible and as easily as, in rapid succession. But I don't disagree. I think we're getting that out of the Dark Troopers. I think the Dark Troopers, while not, while robots are going to be a formidable foe, that's not going to be so easily dispatched. Although you're probably going to see some Dark Trooper heads fly, and especially if maybe Ahsoka comes back, but that's not going to happen.
Let's hold on to that thought. We're going to go to that in 1 second. I want to shout Scotty is with us in the live chat, and Scotty's the hero of the channel right now because that guy.
He's our thermal detonator.
Almost 1,000 people have seen him losing his mind over Ahsoka and the Rangers of the New Republic and Endor and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh, Hayden Christensen is officially back as Vader, which this is a selfless plug. I do want to know. I have a poll right now at BTBD Star Wars. Who do you think will voice Vader in that series? I want to know what you think. I
wouldn't think be James Earl. Why wouldn't it be James Earl?
Well, James Earl Jones is getting a little thin in the voice. No disrespect. It's what happens with age. It was kind of an issue in Rogue One. He's now a few years even older.
There's an app for that.
And that's fine. And right now, James Earl Jones is leading that poll.
He can just do it from home too, right from his couch.
Scotty, we're starting to get some hate comments too. It's the best.
I don't know why. Yeah. If you don't get hate comments on a reaction show, you didn't do it right.
Why do Star Wars fans in particular? Because that's what we do. Is we're Star Wars. People crap on other people for liking the same thing. It's just that they like the same thing differently. It makes no sense to me.
Remember, it's like your philosophy you just put out there. There's right and there's wrong, and it's all from the perspective of the person experiencing whatever they're experiencing. So there you go.
Islamic. Hayden's back, but I don't know if you saw that Disney call yesterday, but yeah, Hayden Christensen is donning the suit, and this will be talked on the call show tonight. So I'm not trying to take thunder away from that, but yeah, I mean, Kathleen Kennedy said they're going to face off. Ewan McGregor even said they were going to take one more swing at each other. So my headcanon is going to have to be reimagined once again, it looks like. Yeah, baby.
Oh. It's just such a good show. It's a great time to be a Star Wars fan right now. I mean, I'm super pumped for the final episode. I hope it's a long one. I hope they give us an hour and a half or something crazy.
You do, huh?
Come on, just give me the big. Yes, I do.
What's the runtime? What's the runtime guess?
The runtime's probably going to be 47 minutes.
I'm going to say it's going to be 37 minutes.
It's 47.
I'm saying 37.
I'm Price is Right in you, and I'm going 47.
That's fine. My question, will we have Grogu back in the Mandalorian's hands by the end of this episode?
Is that a poll?
No, I'm asking you right now. Do you think we're going to get Grogu?
Here's why. There's two cases.
Preach.
We're not going to get Grogu. We're going to get close to Grogu. But we're not getting Grogu back. We might even have, and Andy's got some major theories here. We might have some sadness with Grogu, not death, but we could be in for, and brace yourself. This is just a theory. This is just me making stuff up. So I'm not saying I believe this. We could be in for a time jump, meaning we're going to end this season and we're going to come back a few years, whatever they call it, a few cycles later. And when we come back to season 3. And so that might mean the progression of Grogu. Now he's 50, so I don't know if he can grow in 3 years or 4 years, or something. But maybe he hits a spurt at the 51 mark, a Grogu spurt. But we could see a time gap. So that means, say Grogu goes away to a facility or goes away to train or something. I still think he's got to be in peril at the end of this show if we get rid of Gideon. So I think Gideon's what? Gideon's like Darth Vader in New Hope and Darth Vader in Empire. And then, at the end of Empire, we got the Emperor. So now we know that there is a Lord above the Lord, type of thing. And we might be getting the same thing. Gideon serves someone. That's why he's in a light cruiser.
Yep.
Just making that up.
Right. But does he serve Thrawn or someone else? That's what I'm curious about. I still stick to, I think Thrawn has nothing to do really with the Mandalorian story, that he's a much bigger fish and a much bigger story.
Yeah.
But also maybe it could be Thrawn, and this new Ahsoka series that we know is happening. Maybe that's in the same kind of time frame. There's a lot to be excited for. I do wonder if we're gonna lose somebody. I feel like it's the end of season 2, and we'll have 16 episodes at that point. Are we gonna lose somebody? Is it gonna be a Kara? Is it gonna be a Boba? I would hope not. I hope that we get to play with Boba quite a bit more. But I'm with you.
Boba's going to be in the final episode. I mean, so that's crazy. I didn't see that coming. Yeah. I didn't see Boba being a major part. I mean, we're talking about a quarter almost of the entire season. So that's exciting to me. I mean, so I don't know that we lose Boba though. Boba's getting out of there. He didn't pay his armor for nothing.
I'm trying to think, because with season 1, you end with Moff Gideon surviving with the Darksaber. And I wonder if the Darksaber is going to be tied to the finale here in a way. I wonder if, you do have an Ahsoka come back. Or you have a Bo-Katan come back. Because remember, Bo's looking for Moff because she wants the Darksaber. So I wonder if, Slave 1 connects with the Mandalorians, the Night Owls. I wonder if there's some kind of team up. They need more firepower.
Yeah.
Because you cannot tell me in this moment that you realistically think it's going to be the Slave 1 just cruises into the freighter. That's just not going to happen. So there's got to be more firepower. There's got to be some friends that come along, which I think is just so cool that it's a Mandalorian show and there's friends involved. I think that I think it's the evolution of all that. It's like what we learned in the Jedi episode. A Jedi and a Mandalorian together, they'll never see it coming. You're redefining the culture at some point of the Mandalorians and Stars. And I think it's really cool. And it's also why I want to go back in time and I want to see the Purge and the Night of 1,000 Sorrows and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Because I want to know the full arc of that. It's some of the most fascinating Star Wars that we can take a look at right now.
It's exciting. Like I said, great time to be a fan. And next week we get another show, so it's going to be awesome. I think we won't know what's coming. We didn't know what was coming with this show other than the breakout. We did know what was coming with the show, and it kind of followed suit. We got the coordinates. We got Bill Burr. So now I think he's going after Gideon. We know that. So and then it's just sit back and let it happen and have some fun. I hope it is an hour and a half. That would just be crazy good. But
that's what everyone in the live chat, they're saying. 69 dudes. No, I think he meant 69 minutes, dudes.
No,
sorry, I read that differently.
That's Bill and Ted. 69 dudes. Yeah, there you go.
I've seen that movie. We got 65 from Blue Harvest, and Lords of the Long Box wants 69 minutes as well. I think I just don't see us having a longer episode than the Jedi. I really think they want to keep these episodes somewhere between 30 and 45. That's just me.
My only thing is if they bookend the first episode of this season with another long episode, I think that's perfect. They went 54 or 7 minutes in the first one. Let's see, and then they've kind of stuck below 40 minutes every show after that. Let's bookend it with another hour and do it right. That's all I care about. I don't care how long it is, as long as it's done right. As long as I get everything I can out of some of these theories and something I didn't expect, I don't care how long it is. Just be good.
I want there to be I'd like to see more of a battle, less of a skirmish in space in this final episode, just because I've talked about it like every week. It's because it's that great. It's how much better the ship moves now in the show. And I think it'd be really cool to see a dogfight or, we're attacking that light freighter. I mean, it'd be kind of cool. And this won't happen because it just happened. But Slave 1 could just drop a seismic charger and destroy that freighter once they've captured Grogu, that's potential.
We need a scale, though. I mean, Boba definitely didn't go after that freighter when he had the chance last episode. So we need a little scale. I don't know how big that. Not a frigate or light cruiser.
Yeah, it's pretty big. But a seismic charger. You drop that in the right spot. That's going to shatter the ship. There's no.
It's not all powerful, but yeah,
it's not how big you are, Josh. It's how you use it.
I think it's more going to be like some TIE fighters going down to Slave dancing through. So I still agree with you. We got to get some friends. We need more firepower. We're going to get Bo-Katan and whatever she flies around and her owls, and then they're going to not jetpacks but ships, and we're going to have them on screen.
I think this is interesting. Annie's saying the previously on worked perfect in this episode. There's something,
and it didn't in the last one.
It didn't. It was spoiler heavy in the last one. That's a point that Pete's made on the network, and I agree. I just out of habit always skip it. I've watched the previous episode at least 3 times. You know, I watch it once and I watch it again right before the show. And then after we talk, I always go and watch it again. That says a lot about my time availability, right? We're in a pandemic. What else do you want me to do?
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I would just skip those and then just go into the episode fresh. But as Andy just articulated, it was a nice setup. And
Really
here we are. We have the finale. I'm really nervous. I think Moff Gideon is going to walk away the victor here in this next episode, and I think it's going to set up Bo-Katan. And I think Sasha Banks says she's not back, but at least Bo. And let's get a Jedi in here. People in the live chat are telling me Luke Skywalker is training someone, and he's going to show up maybe in season 3. Listen, if that happens, I say great. You know what? I'm a terrible person because I'm going to say it. If you do it right, it'll make me happy.
There you go.
You know, that's just a cop out as fans.
It is. I already said it too.
Hey, we're wrapping up an hour. Josh, is there anything that you haven't said? We haven't addressed something in live chat that you want to throw out there before we get out of here?
You know, I don't think so. I think we hit it all. I think, again, I was super excited and happy with the tone of this episode and the things that went down. It didn't seem slow. It didn't even seem forced. You know, we've been on a lot of missions with the Mandalorian. This one seemed necessary. Some of them have always been like, yeah, I'll give you that if you go get this. But this one was actually attacking a facility that they needed to, or infiltrating one that they needed the information from. So that I appreciated. And of course, a good firefight on the way out and a Boba drop. I'm happy.
I'm happy too. Matthew, I want a Patreon watch party for the final episode. We will work on that. I do want to bring up right now that Streaming Star Wars next week will be one big episode. We're going to do an evening show Friday night to close out the season. We're going to have Pete. We're going to have a few others join us from the network on that show, and we want you to join us. We're going to combine this hour and the call-in show, 2-hour format. Let's go and have a good time. Join us. That will be 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific here on Beyond the Blast Doors. Want you to join us. I like this idea. Well, they're all about to die, and then Luke and Wedge arrives with Rogue Squadron. Oh, that'd be kind of cool. And I think that follows Lords of the Long Box because he's saying that why else would they show X-Wings this season? His theory is, TiVo's theory is that those X-Wing pilots will come back and help the Mandalorian take down that light freighter. So Dave Filoni's going to take down a light freighter. I'm here for that. That's the content that I want.
Sounds like a flex he'd pull.
That sounds like a flex he would pull. Hey, you know what? Here's a flex I'm going to pull. I'm going to end the show. No, hey, we loved talking Star Wars with you. Josh, if they want to continue the Star Wars conversation with you, what's the best way to do that?
You can find us at Holochronicles on Twitter and check us out on YouTube, YouTube/Beyond the Blast Doors. That's where we live. I'm bumping my table. Sorry. Yeah, that's where we're at. And just love being here with you on Streaming Star Wars. It's just such a good time.
You're a sweetheart. You can always follow me at MO on the Air on Twitter. The fun continues here on Beyond the Blast Doors tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We have again our live call-in show. Josh, Pete, they'll talk about everything when it comes to all the new Star Wars shows, The Mandalorian. Maybe, Matthew really wants a Patreon thing. We'll talk about that too, I'm sure. Everyone have a great rest of your day. May the 4th. Am I playing the closer or are you playing the closer? How does this going to work? Am I going to hit or you get it? You got it. You want me to get it? That's fine. Hey, listen, I just like talking Star Wars. I'm not a perfect person, okay? But no one asked me to be a perfect person. You know what I like to talk Star Wars. I like to laugh with my friends. I like to visit with you. You're my friends. Literally, you're my only social interaction during the pandemic. If I didn't have you, I literally would be taking my head against the wall right now because it's just me and my wife, and I love her. She's already told me too much. She's sick of me.
She's sick.
It's only been 7 months. I don't.
Come on, you'll be fine.
Go
Take us out of here. Take us
later.
Out of here.
I am Bo-Katan, Clan Kryze. I was born on Mandalorian plot in the Earth. I am the last of my line.